Russia has likely lost half of the tanks it deployed in Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, according to an assessment by a US-based think tank. The Institute for the Study of War (SWW), based in Washington, noted in its daily assessment of the conflict that on February 9, Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, visited a tank manufacturing plant in the Armskorblaст and highlighted the need for Russia to ramp up production of modern tanks. Cassandra. Reports were circulating as far back as May 2022 that Russia was losing a significant number of tanks in the conflict and that Moscow had moved 50-year-old T-62 tanks from deep storage to be deployed for use by its southern grouping of forces. The think tank observed that Dutch open-source group Oryx reported Russian forces have, throughout the course of the war, lost 10-12 destroyed tanks in Ukraine with an additional 546 tanks captured by Ukrainian forces. These combined losses represent roughly half the tanks that Russian forces committed to Ukraine at the start of the invasion, the ISW said, citing Oryx data. The Russian military needs to quickly replenish these tank losses to maintain the ability to conduct large-scale mechanized maneuver warfare ahead of a likely increased pace of offensive operations in eastern Ukraine. The assessment comes as Ukraine is set to receive dozens of powerful new tanks from Western allies over the coming months, including 31 M1 Abrams tanks from the US. Medvedev likely framed his calls for increased production as a response to Western military assistance to obscure the fact that substantial military equipment losses are driving the need for increased production, the ISW.
Dead. The summer. On Thursday, Serhiy Haidai, who is head of the Luhansk Regional Military Civil Administration, said Ukraine destroyed a Russian Terminator tank support fighting vehicle near the city of Kremenna in Ukraine's eastern Luhansk region and in a failed attempt to take the eastern Ukrainian city of Volodar.
Russian forces are believed to have lost dozens of armored vehicles, the British Ministry of Defense assessed on Friday. Denis Pushkin, Russia's leader in the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic, has said that the capture of the Volodar region will be a game-changer for Russia's war efforts. Taking control of this settlement will provide our troops with access to the Krasnoyarsk, Pokrovsky and Kharkov directions, he told state-run news agency RIA Novosti last month. Russian troops likely fled and abandoned at least 30 mostly intact armored vehicles in a single incident after a failed assault, the ministry said in a daily assessment of the conflict. I didn't mean anything. Military officials from Ukraine have warned Russia already has hundreds of fighter jets and thousands of tanks ready for a new wave of attacks in the coming days. Russia is estimated to have a massive force of 1,800 tanks, 3,950 armored vehicles, 810 multiple rocket launch systems and 400 fighter jets ready for a major offensive in Crimea to the east of Ukraine. Meanwhile, Ukraine is reported to stand ready to utilize British long-range missiles in order to attack Russian-seized Crimea. Defense sources said Kiev is prepared to use the missiles to strike Crimea, the peninsula annexed by Russia 9 years ago. Talks are understood to be ongoing about how many long-range missiles the UK could potentially supply to thwart the threat. According to Foreign Policy, an unnamed Ukrainian defense official has estimated that Russia has 300 helicopters and 2,700 artillery systems prepared. The official stated that Kiev is expecting a large-scale invasion to occur within the coming weeks. We expect in the next 10 days a new huge invasion. Ukraine has been getting ready for a potential Russian offensive in the Donbass. The Russian military has deployed a sizable number of soldiers in Ukraine's east with the intention of breaking the nation's defenses using force. Farm and assaults by human waves. Military analysts predict that as the anniversary of the invasion on February 24 approaches, the Russian offensive will pick up steam.
The fact that more and more Russian soldiers are showing up at the front, according to Jonathan Siviav, Secretary General of the Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is mounting proof that something major is likely to occur in the east.
Following a mobilization doctrine that began in September.